Highlander. I run the Becoming Outdoor Woman program, and I'm very excited to introduce our speaker today. She's Sheri Brengman. Sheri is a member of the Bow Steering Committee. She helps organize and host Becoming Outdoor Women workshops. Our next one is this September 9th coming up. And she's also a firearm safety instructor, and she's an avid target and league shooter. So she's won numerous awards for pistol shooting and for trap shooting. So she really knows what she's talking about. She's an avid shooter, and she loves to teach women how to shoot as well. She'll help us today better understand the whole sporting clays programs, the 5 different types of games that you can play with shotgun shooting. So Sheri.
It's coming, here it comes. Okay, welcome everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. My name is, you can hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. I was watching to unmute myself, but all right. So this is my PowerPoint. Here we go. My name is Sheri Brengman, as Linda said, and I love to shoot clays, and I like to encourage other people to give it a try. So we are going to talk about that today. This is a little quick snippet of who I am. I'm a Minnesotan. I've lived in Minnesota my whole life. I was just telling Linda and Benji that I think I've been in a boat since I was a baby. My family were outdoors people. We loved to fish. And as I got a little older, I was able to start hunting with my dad and just exposed to all sorts of wonderful outdoor things. As Linda mentioned, am on the Minnesota Becoming an Outdoors Woman program committee, steering committee, and I volunteer instruct as well. And I just like to shoot clays. So here we go. Let's talk about that. Here's what we're going to go through today. We are going to talk about safety because that's number one. I'm going to explain the different clay target shooting games. And spend a little bit more time on trap because I feel that that's a great entry point for people learning these games. And then of course talk about the etiquette, how to handle yourselves and your gun while you're on the courses. So as an introduction, clay target shooting is done with a shotgun, and most people will know that. You can start with any type of shotgun that you have and that you're comfortable with. On the PowerPoint there, it says any type of action. So if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about there, referring to, I did a previous video talking all about different shotguns and the actions and the chokes and every little detail so that to help people become familiar with guns. So that will be linked in the notes, I believe, at some point. So feel free to watch that video, and I hope that is helpful. And back to safety. Number one, I know that shooting clays is not hunting, but I still highly, highly recommend that everyone, adult on down, take the Minnesota DNR Firearm Safety course. It's easy to do. It's online. You can do it in your convenience, in your own home. They do offer field days that you can attend periodically, and you can find that information on the website, the DNR website under education. And I threw the little tagline on there that if you are going to hunt, everybody born after 1979 needs to have that certificate in order to purchase their hunting license. You don't have to have that to shoot clays, but again, I just feel that it's really valuable and time well spent. So here we go. What are the clay target games? So I'm going to talk about these 4. These are the 4 basic, most common ones that you're going to hear people talk about: trap, skeet, sporting clays, and something called 5-stand. So here we're going to start with trap. And there is a visual there to give you an idea of what that would look like. It is called a trap field. And most gun clubs that you go to in the state of Minnesota, you're going to have a trap field. It's Probably that and skeet are the most common that you'll see. So on the trap field, the front line where those people are lined up, that's only 16 yards from what they call the house. And it's that little, it's made of concrete. It's like a little bunker in the ground. And inside of it is a clay thrower that has a lot of little orange clay pigeons stacked up in it. And it operates like an oscillating fan. So it is just rotating constantly in a 45-degree angle back and forth at not a very fast speed, pretty slow. And so then when it's your turn to shoot, the person it's their turn is going to call pull. And the fellow or girl that's scoring and pulling for you is going to hit a button, and it makes the clay pigeon come flying out of the trap house. And then that's your opportunity to try to shoot it. That's the basic of it. There's 5 stations, they're called, 5 spots where the shooters can stand. And everybody you stand on that one station and you take turns 1 shot at a time, but you're going to stand on that station until you've shot 5 times. And then the scoring person is going to say change, which just means change stations. So you're going to move to the next station to your right. The person on the far right on the end is going to come around behind the shooters with their gun open and unloaded, all the way back around to the first station. And the first person that shot the first time is going to stay the first person every time you rotate. You'll just end up going through 1 box of shotgun shells doing that. And a nice trap load is a 7.5 or 8 shot. I'm going to show you a typical real trap field. That's what they look like. That particular one is up at Forest Lake Sportsman's Club. And to give you a feel for what they really look like, and that's the trap house. Theirs just happens to be painted green. Skeet, another very common game to shoot with clay pigeons. This field is sometimes done double duty, just like in that previous picture where there's trap or skeet houses on both sides of the trap course. So it can be used for either game. If it's a designated skeet field, it's going to be a skeet field. You're going to have what's called a high house and a low house. The high house is always on the left, low is always on the right. There are more positions that you go through when you're shooting this game of skeet. There's 7 positions that go around the back semicircle of the course. And the 8th is right up front in the middle between those 2 houses. And it feels very odd when you first do it to be that close up. And then this game is a little different where its trap is always throwing out a single clay. This game ends up getting into what's called doubles. So you'll get an opportunity to shoot each clay singly, just one coming from the high, one coming from the low, and then you'll get a chance to try to shoot 2, what's called a double. So 2 clays are going to come out at the same time, and there's strategy to that, to knowing which one to try to hit first. Again, I still recommend starting with trap because it's a nice, simple, easy place to start if you haven't gotten into this, and then work your way into giving skeet a try because it's a really good challenge. And again, you're going to go through 1 box of shotgun shells. And the size 8 or 9 of your shotgun shells, that's just you get more pellets and they're a little smaller, and you use a wide open choke to try to hit those clays because they're moving side to side, which feels much faster than in trap when they're moving away from you. Good challenging game. Sporting clays, another super fun thing to do, especially if you're trying to get warmed up for hunting season and you're a wing shooter. You want to go out and shoot pheasants, ducks, or geese. Sporting clays is, again, kind of a game. And you're going to, that picture and graphic is not my favorite. I apologize for that. It makes it look really confusing. So I'll show you another picture in just a minute. But you are going to, however it's designed at a gun club, you're going to have anywhere from 6 to 12 stations that you walk to, probably through a nice little trail through the woods. And you'll be at one station at a time with your fellow shooters. And you're going to end up shooting 2 boxes of shells in this game. And same shot size as trap. But what's going to happen is you have clay throwers at each station. There's going to be 2 most likely. And they're going to be doing different things. So it simulates much more of a situation where you're wing shooting, where like a duck might be flying away from you or across your field of view. And some of them are even coming towards you, which is really fun and another challenge. And you learn a couple new terms at sporting clays. You get to learn these terms: single, report pair, and true pair. And they're basically what they're saying. So when you first get to a station, one shooter's going to take a turn at a time, and you're going to most likely shoot 5 shells at that station. And your first opportunity to shoot is just going to be a single. One of the clay throwers is going to throw the clay. You're going to take your turn shooting it. Then you get what's called a report pair, where you still have that same first clay thrower. It's going to throw the clay, and as soon as you take your shot, the person pushing the button is going to hit the other clay thrower, and the second clay is going to cross your path, probably going in a completely different direction. So it's a report pair because the second clay is not launched until you've taken the shot at the first one. And then your third try is called a true pair. And that is where they both get thrown or launched at the same time. So you have the fun challenge of trying to figure out which one to shoot at first based on where they're going and how fast they're moving. And it's a good challenge. Lots of fun to do. This is a picture of an actual sporting clays station, just to give you an idea of what it really might look like. And the clay throwers are going to be tucked away on one side or the other or both. And there's always instructions right inside the shooter station is inside of that kind of a cage looking thing, and that's for safety. Keep everybody's gun downrange and safe in a safe direction. And there will be instructions on a card in there to give you an idea of what's coming so you can try to prepare. This is what an actual clay thrower looks like out on a sporting clays range. And as you can see, it can hold many clay pigeons. And that particular one's probably set to throw the same direction all the time. But a similar thrower is what is in the trap house, and then it's set to rotate. All right, the next game is called 5 Stand. And I feel like this is a mix of a trap course and a sporting clays thing just kind of put together, because there's going to be clay throwers all out in front of you, and sometimes there's even one up and over your head called a duck tower. And you're going to use 25 shotgun shells again, just like you're back on a trap course, 1 box. And there's going to be instructions inside of every little station that you take your turn at about which clay thrower. They all have numbers on them, so you can know which clay thrower is going to throw for you. And then it's a similar situation like in sporting clays, where you're going to have the chance to shoot a single clay. And then you get a chance to shoot a report pair where one is launched, and after you shoot, the second follows. And you also get the opportunity to shoot that true pair where they both get launched at the same time. And again, it's that fun challenge of trying to figure out which one you're going to aim at first. And both in 5 Stand and in sporting clays and skeet, of course, chokes come into play. Choke on your shotgun barrel. You're going to want to think about what choke you want to use. If you want to have a wide open choke for skeets, or if you want to narrow it down into modified or full chokes based on your shooting situation. And there are folks that'll change their choke tubes for every station that they do on a sporting clays field, and then again here on a 5 Stand field. Okay, the etiquette, super important. It is always important, of course, safety first, to have your gun unloaded. Anytime you're walking around at a gun club, at a gun range, etc., that gun's going to come out unloaded. You're going to have your action open. So it's easy to see when people have a break action shotgun, like in the picture there, an over under or even a single barrel break action. It's easy to know that people's guns, the action's open. You can see that from a distance. If you're bringing a semi-auto shotgun or a pump, fine. That's just fine. You can certainly play all these games with those style of guns. But you definitely want to make sure your action is open and unlocked, open and unloaded, so that people can see that. Everyone wants to know that they're safe walking around at a gun range and a gun course. So then the other thing, you always have your muzzle pointed in a safe direction, and that's something that's taught in the firearm safety course as well. Safe directions when you're walking around the course is going to be down or up. But when you step up to, let's say, the trap course, and you're all in your stations, your muzzles are going to be pointed down and downrange out in front of you. And you're not going to load your shotgun until it's your turn. And in trap, you are only shooting one single clay, so you're always want to just have one shotgun shell in your gun at a time. So then when you're shooting and it's your turn, you shoot your one shell, your gun opens up again, it stays empty and unloaded and action open until it's your turn to shoot again. It's uppermost of importance to be safe first. Yeah, it's not fun unless it's safe. Safe shooting. And then the other thing that's just common courtesy is don't move. When you're on your station, you just hold still and let the others focus on their shooting. If one person is shooting and they can see out of their peripheral vision something else moving, it's distracting and hard to focus. So it's just common courtesy, and that you would just stay at your station with your gun open like that and not move. All right, what would you need to do all these fun games? Well, you start with a shotgun, and hopefully that's a shotgun you're comfortable with and fits you, and you've already figured out all those things like gun fit and eye dominance, and you've shot that gun before, so you know how it operates, the action. And you're going to need eye protection, and you definitely need ear protection. And they don't have to be those little foamy ones. Some people will wear the big muffs on their ears. That's fine too. It's nice to have a hat or visor. You don't have to. I just throw that out there because it kind of helps you focus in on your clay. And if it's sunny, of course, you'll like having that. And another convenient thing to have is a vest or a pouch like that's pictured. The gal in the hat picture is also wearing a shooting vest, and they have large pockets on the front for you to put your shotgun shell box into. It's just nice and handy that you don't have to be carrying a box around with you or trying to set it down at the station next to you. You can do that, but it takes away your attention or your focus a little bit. So those are just some simple things to have with you. This is a quick slide of my favorite Olympic shooters. I just love that these ladies are winning Olympic golds and silvers and medals. Kim Rhode is a 6-time Olympic medal winning Olympian. She's amazing. She has won more medals in the Olympics than the guys. So one guy. Anyway, love it. And then these other two gals in 2020 made Olympic history with their scores that they got when they shot their skeet and silver trap medals. So to sum up, pick one clay target game, give it a try. Check it out, see if there's anybody you know doing it, and ask if you can tag along and learn. People love to bring in new people and show them how these work. And the gun clubs are generally pretty open to helping you learn as well and connect and network with folks. I kind of recommend starting with trap again, just because it's a very nice controlled environment, and it's a nice place to start and learning the games. I again want to plug the Minnesota Becoming an Outdoors Woman program. It's a wonderful volunteer run program. There is social media. They have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and Twitter. Whenever there's events, courses, classes, they are advertised there. There's also a page on the DNR Education website where you can find the calendar of things going on. And thankfully, we get to start hosting workshop weekends again this fall, as Linda mentioned previously. So we're happy to be back in action and able to afford that opportunity to the ladies. So I'm going to pause now, and we'll do some question and answer time.
Great, thank you, Sheri. If you have questions for Sheri, please put them in your Q&A and we'll ask them for her. But if you've never tried this and you'd like to try just shooting a shotgun or shooting a rifle, Fall workshop is full, but those are the kind of classes we have at our Becoming Outdoor Woman workshops. We have a rifle class that Sheri's actually teaching. We have Simone Shera coming to do a pheasant hunt class. And then we also have a shotgun class. So those are ways that you can learn how to shoot. In a typical year, we also have additional classes for shotgun as well. So once we get kind of back up and running, we'll have those again. But while we're waiting for participant questions to come in, I have a couple questions because I've never shot this. What's the amount of time that people to shoot a round of trap? How long does it take?
It probably takes, I'd guess, 15 minutes about. It actually goes pretty quickly if you've got 5 shooters that are regular shooters. I shoot in leagues quite a bit, and my team and I, if you start shooting with the same people over and over, you kind of get into rhythm. And yeah, so I probably 15 minutes. You'll be, yep, through all those all those rounds.
And if I'm a single person and I've never done this before, how would I get started? Like, are gun clubs a membership, or can I just go and say I'd like to try this?
That's a great question. Depending on where you live, you're gonna just kind of want to start looking around for a gun club that's near you. Some are private and some are public. It depends. And even some of the private clubs will allow the public to come in and do some shooting on specific days. And they're friendly people. They love to involve new shooters in this and teach them. So if you have a gun club near you, I'd reach out to them, give them a call or stop in and just say, I'd like to learn more about learning shooting trap, and can I come? And do you have anybody that can help me? And they certainly will find you somebody. Yeah, I think it's a pretty accessible sport.
So to join a league, do you have to have a group of 5 already, or are you just put in with another group?
It would depend again on that club that you find. Great question. I would say you probably don't have to come to the club with that team, depending on how they are arranged. They might have already a group of folks that are looking for another shooter to be on their team. Some clubs will have trap leagues set up so that you can have a team of up to 10 people, and then whoever the top 5 scores are for that week, those are the scores that go in to the record book. Other clubs are run it differently based on the rules they've set up. They maybe only want 5 shooters each week, and those are the scores that are going to be recorded for that week's record book. It varies a little bit, and you just would have to get to know the folks at your gun club and ask about it. Just start asking the questions, and they'll definitely explain it to you and help you figure it out so that you can participate. I still think though you probably, before you jump into a league, probably just go out and shoot it a few times, and if you don't have somebody to come to the club with you to try it, I would again reach out to that club and ask, can I join in with some others that are already doing it, and I want to try this and learn more about it. And then down the line, when you're more comfortable, maybe then ask them about leagues and how they run.
Okay, the last question I have, and Benji, I don't know if you've seen any other questions come through, is there any type of gun that's better than another, or it doesn't really matter?
Great question. You can start with what you have and what you're comfortable with. You can very successfully shoot trap in any of these sporting clay games with any action, any style of action. You can shoot with 20 gauge, 12 gauge, 16 gauge. Those are probably the most common anyway that are out there. And you can shoot it with a semi-auto, a pump. You'll tend to start seeing a lot of people on those courses with the break actions, either single barrel or over unders, just because those guns are typically designed by the manufacturers to be used for those sporting clay games. But it's totally okay to come with what you have and what you're comfortable with shooting. That'd be the best way to start.
Great. And I love your suggestion to get firearm safety first, because safety is a priority. So
Absolutely.
great suggestion. So Benji, do you see questions I don't see?
Kathy sent one to the host here privately. She was wondering while waiting, just before you say pull, where should you be looking, and should the shotgun be shouldered already?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I didn't really go over that. Definitely in, let's see, probably all of them. You can shoulder your shotgun, definitely in trap. You can when it's your turn to shoot, you put your shell in the gun, close your action, pull up your gun to your shoulder. You're gonna look down your barrel, make sure that you have your bead lined up with your eye, and that kind of gets back into fit and things. And you might want to peek back at that previous video that we have made. And then once you're lined up and you're going to get to the muscle memory point where you do that really quickly, you line up, look down your barrel, yep, I'm there. And then you're going to start looking, you're going to change your focus to the distance. And then when you call pull and your clay flies or is launched, your eye will pick up on that movement really quick. And then you want to get to the point where you're smooth at this, that's the goal, but you would smoothly move the barrel of your gun to where your clay is, kind of find it, line it up, match it, and then based on if you need any lead or not is when you're going to pull your trigger. If a clay is pulled and it's launched straight out in front of you, it's called a straightaway. You don't need any lead. If it's to the left or to the right of you, you're going to adjust your lead just a little bit and think about shooting the front side of the clay, the side that's flying away from you. Hope that answered that question. You're pretty much shouldering your gun in all of them. You can. You'll see people shoot it different. You'll see like sporting clays, possibly or potentially, and Olympic shooters, they can't shoulder their gun in skeet. So they'll have their gun lower, maybe down by their bicep, sort of, in their crook of their arm, and they have to pull up and shoot from that position.
And one thing I've learned, like with our classes, the instructor can say you're shooting too late or you're shooting ahead or behind. So taking a class would be helpful. So another, and Angela asked, my son shoots trap for his high school, so I'm a little familiar, and that is what has sparked my interest. He will use a 20 gauge as that was all he could find during COVID, but I'm trying to determine pros, cons for shooting 12 versus 20 gauge.
I think it comes down to what the shooter, so in this case, it's your son, what he likes and what he's comfortable with. If he likes shooting with that 20 gauge and he's successful with it, I wouldn't change a thing. If gets the opportunity to try someone else's 12 gauge and likes that, then fine, you can switch to that too. You can be very successful with either gauge gun. It's not important. The things that you'll end up tweaking are things like chokes, what choke tube he's shooting with. Potentially, the nice thing about having the over-under shotguns and why people will choose those eventually in a game like sporting clays is now I can have two different choke tubes in my gun at the same time. So if you have a clay presentation where one's going away and one's coming at you, I can use like a fuller or more closed down choke on the one going away and a more wide open choke on the one coming at me or going across. So it's kind of a fun, I was trying to allude to the fun challenge of figuring out which clay you're going to shoot first, and then it can also become which barrel, which choke tube am I going to try to use for each of these. There's a lot you can do. You don't have to start complicated, but you can move into all those things.
Is there any weight difference between a 12 and a 20 gauge?
There is. A typical 20 gauge nowadays, a modern 20 gauge is going to weigh around 6 pounds, 7 pounds. And then your 12 gauge is going to get closer to 8 pounds. Some are lighter. Semi-autos are going to be low 7 pounds, and some ounces. You get up to the double barrels, upper, over, or under, I can't even say that. Because there's two metal barrels out there now, they're going to be about 8 pounds. But it depends on what game you're shooting. And sometimes the weight, like in trap, is good. It's a good thing because you'll swing slower and smoother with a heavier weighted gun. But you just have to do with what fits you and what you like and what you're comfortable with. Guns are as personal and unique as everybody. So there's no wrong or right answer to that.
I see one more coming into the chat there, talking about guns. That do women in general find a 20 gauge to be easier to shoot than a 12?
I see that question. Hi, Anne. Yes. So I would like to answer that question. What typically happens in my experience is working with women through the BOW program is you see a lot of women starting with 20 gauges. And I don't think you have to. I think you can if that's what you're drawn to and that's what you want to do. I do think it happens more commonly that they will start with 20 gauges for lots of reasons, but you don't have to. A modern 12 gauge shotgun, the semi-auto style action, they're designed to absorb recoil, and so you could shoot a 12 gauge shotgun and it wouldn't kick or have that feeling in your shoulder any more than a 20 gauge. So I don't know. I hope I answered that yes, in an unbiased way. But either, again, I grew up shooting a 20 gauge and that was fine. And I was very successful with that for a very long time. But when I started shooting trap and getting more into it and clay games and hunting more, I just decided it was time I wanted to have a 12 gauge, and now I won't go back. I love shooting that 12 gauge caliber.
Okay, another question that came in. What is your favorite part of trap shooting?
Oh, personally, I think it's just the challenge of bettering yourself. A lot of sports, you just have that opportunity to just challenge yourself, to get better, to figure things out, to yeah, just challenge. Like I think of swimmers, yeah, that they always try to better their time. They want to swim faster every time they race, and so I feel that's a similar thing for me. I just like the challenge of trying to better myself every time I do it and learn more.
Have you ever shot a perfect round of 25?
Oh yeah, yeah, few times. Yep. Not in anything but trap, but yeah. Hmm.
Oh,
It's
good.
fun. It's a fun feeling, and you get a patch at whatever club you're at. If you shoot 25 or 50 or 75 or 100. So yeah, my current goal is to get a 50 patch. I don't have a 50 patch yet, so
But I love how this is, you can try so many different games and the camaraderie, the friends that you make
hmm.
in the club, and it's not intimidating. And in the future, Sheri will hopefully be offering a class on trap shooting. We typically offer one. We usually go to Wings North, but Sheri is part of the Metro Gun Club as well. So we try to hold those in the future. And Sheri's going to be at our fall workshop. I hope she'll be at our winter workshop. And if
Yeah.
you're ever a part of our archery deer hunts or turkey hunts, Sheri's a mentor for us as well. She's also an archery hunter. We do have room still in the archery deer hunt coming up this September. And if you're interested in that, go ahead and email me, linda.bylander@state.mn.us. We definitely still have room for that archery deer hunt coming up. Anything else you want to share? Otherwise, I think we're done.
I just would encourage anyone who's interested in trying the games to be brave, get out there and give it a try.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much, Sheri. Oh, I'm sorry, Benji.
I was just going to say it is a lot of fun, and I think I forget who it was. Tammy asked about the favorite part of trap. My daughter got into it a little bit here right after COVID was kind of starting to get over with, and she loves going. She's got a couple girlfriends and what are going into eighth grade now, but they don't want to go with me, but they love going out with three or four of them and trying to shoot some traps. So it's a great thing. And Sheri's a phenomenal teacher. She has a teaching background, and I wish we could spread you at all these gun clubs. But I think finding
Yeah.
somebody at a local gun club that has that ability to instruct, um, I think was key to helping her out too, not just like, oh, you're shooting trap, you must know what you're doing, might not necessarily be the best teacher. So
Right.
ask around the club and find somebody that works with new shooters, I think
Mhm.
is key too. So
Yes.
Yep. And your girls can be part of that trap league, high school trap league, because that's a huge growing sport that they can let her in now. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we looked into it last year and it didn't work out timing wise, but my daughter is actually it's one of her chores today was to look into that and how she has to sign up for it. So
Nice. Yeah, I try to keep up. I have twin goddaughters that shoot, and I just try to keep up with them. They're awesome.
Great.
that's half the fun of it. So,
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, Sheri. Join us next Wednesday. We'll have another MOS program. Benji, do you know the name? Our topic next week?
I believe I'm pulling it up right now. I believe next week is early goose season,
Okay,
if I remember right.
great. Well, thank you. Join us again next Wednesday at 12 o'clock for the early goose season talk. And again, thank you, Sheri. And Becoming Outdoor Woman, if you're a woman wanting to learn how to shoot, definitely look us up on the DNR website. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks. See everyone next week.